I felt like I needed to say something and wanted to do it before I forgot. With all this talk of women who are pregnant and who want to kill their babies or who have killed their babies being looked at as victims by different ministries like pregnancy centers and different pro-life ministries, and also by men who theologically should know better. I want to ask you, if women don't know better, if mothers who are pregnant and not wanting to be pregnant and considering killing their babies are victims because they don't know any better, then who's going to tell them better? Who's going to tell them that their children are a gift from the Lord and that they're fearfully and wonderfully made, and that God is the one who opens the womb and He's the one who closes the womb? God's the one who makes alive, and He's the only one who has the power and authority to take down to the grave. Who's going to tell these women that murder is a soul-damning sin, and so is sexual immorality? Who's going to tell these women that God casts murderers and fornicators into the lake of fire? If we're going to go on saying that women don't know any better, that they're coerced or pressured or feel like they don't have any other choice, who's going to give them the other choice? Whose responsibility is it? If a woman walks into a pregnancy center carrying a little baby that maybe she even gets to see on ultrasound, and so do the people who are at the pregnancy center, aren't they going to tell the women these things? I mean, really, I'm asking this seriously. If the pregnancy center is going to have the view that the women are victims because they feel like they have no other choice, they had men who were pressuring them and they feel like they didn't have any support. If that's what they're saying, that is behind every woman who's abortion-minded or abortion-bound or abortion-determined, or every woman who's ever killed her baby, then why aren't they helping her to understand all the details of what God says about these babies, what He says about sexual immorality, what He says about premeditated murder, of shedding innocent blood? Who's going to tell them? They shouldn't be victims after they've been exposed to a solid church where the gospel and the law and the testimony of God is being shared. They shouldn't be victims anymore if they've been to a pregnancy center, because the women there are supposed to be telling them the truth. So they wouldn't be a victim, they wouldn't be innocent if they'd been told in the first place that their baby's a gift from the Lord and God says you shall not murder. If they were told in the first place that it's wrong to be sexually intimate with someone that you're not covenanted to in marriage. That it's wrong and it's evil to shed the blood of the little baby that God gave you. How can they be victims if they've been to a pregnancy center? Hasn't anyone told them the truth? How can they say they felt like they didn't have a choice? Didn't the pregnancy center tell her that she had choices? I know I do. I meet thousands of women who are murdering their babies every year. And I work with a very small group of wonderful Christians, and I know there are believers all over the United States trying to be faithful to reach out to the abortion-bound women and men and the precious little babies. They are telling them the truth, and they are giving them other choices. They can't say they didn't know they had a choice, because if they've met people who care about them, we've told them that they're made in the image of God. Their baby is made in the image of God, and so they can't shed the blood of their innocent baby. God says, you shall not murder. So please, stop talking about how these women don't know any better. They're victims. Get out there and talk to these women and tell them the truth. I mean, how embarrassing is it that if you've counseled a woman at a pregnancy center when she was considering killing her baby, and you didn't tell her that it was wrong to murder her baby? You didn't tell her that her baby was valuable because that child was made in the image and likeness of God? You didn't tell her that the wages of sin is death, and that all murderers and all the sexually immoral will be cast into the lake of fire? You didn't tell her that? You didn't offer to help her through pregnancy. You didn't tell her that she could place her baby in a loving adoptive home? Why didn't you tell her? Stop all this nonsense. Tell women and their babies the truth as it is in Jesus.